If I were to name the three most notable nations for watchmaking, I would mention Switzerland, Japan, and Germany. All of these nations deserve their place as leaders of the craft, with each delivering noteworthy contributions to the world of horology. However, in this video, I want to highlight something a little bit different, one of the most attractive intersections of quality with price in the industry, and that is looking at a list of attainable German watch brands that you should know. So to provide some clarity on what I'm specifically referring to, I want to showcase some brands that range from under $1,000 to around $3,000 from Germany. Why I like this price range out of Germany: this is where you're going to see a great balance of build quality, impressive in-house capabilities with less diminishing returns. And further, most of these brands on a relative basis are less appreciated than their Swiss counterparts. As a couple of qualifying points, I will only be looking at more established brands that have been around for a while, so no micro brands. Also are going to be looking primarily at companies that produce or assemble their products in Germany. Obviously, there are some great brands that are more to the luxury end of things from Germany. I just mentioned Glashütte Regional or Lange. However, we're going to save that for another video because that doesn't directly align with the premise of what we're going for here today. To kick things off, we look at Hanhart. Founded in 1882 in the northeast side of Switzerland, Hanhart relocated to the Black Forest of Germany at the turn of the 20th century. Renowned for their chronographs, they have long been an esteemed name in stopwatches, releasing a more affordably positioned model in 1924 that helped make the trailblazing technology of the time more widespread, while remaining a leader among the few remaining producers of mechanical stopwatches today. It was around that time that Hanhart began production of wristwatches, and a few years later they started to become known for their pilot's chronographs, with their 417 securing legendary status, which was only further cemented following actor Steve McQueen's well-known affection for the timepiece. Today, Hanhart produces a wide range of pilot's watches, including three-handers, some of the most attainable flybacks, and dual-register chronographs, with the reborn 417 series being a perennial fan favorite. Other Hanharts to note include the Pioneer Mono and Dual Pusher chronos, which sport a distinctive red pusher, a Hanhart signature, as well as the Flying Navy Aerosphere dive watch. Their most avant-garde piece, the Primus chronograph, features a brutalist case profile that incorporates unique articulating lugs that conform to the wrist for greater comfort. When we talk about German brands, one of the first on the list has to be Sinn, renowned for their incredible durability, innovative feature sets, and fantastic value. Founded in 1961 in Frankfurt by ex-military pilot Helmut Sinn, the brand's focus is on hard-wearing tool watches built for pilots, divers, and anyone who tends to be rough on their equipment. One of my personal favorites is the aviation-themed Sinn 104, a watch so good that I actually bought it twice. I can link to that in the description down below if you're interested in hearing the story about that one. As for the actual dive watches in Sinn's catalog, they offer specs that go well beyond the limits of human endurance, with the U1 and its smaller sibling, the U50, utilizing hardened submarine steel construction. If that isn't extreme enough, Sinn also offers the incredible UX series, which uses an unusual oil-filled case and high-spec movements to achieve staggering 5,000 meters of water resistance while providing a crystal-clear image even underwater. Other notable models include the 856 Pilot's Watch, 356 Chronograph, and the 105 UTC. What I also appreciate about Sinn is despite the more daring tech that they can incorporate, they still have mainstay pieces under $2,000 that are no nonsense. As an example, the Sinn 556, which for under $1,500 on a strap checks off basically every conceivable box for an everyday wearer. Now, before we proceed to the next brand, we have been releasing daily articles on TeddyBallster.com that you're gonna wanna stay in the loop with. To do so, be sure to subscribe to our newsletter to get news around the industry and much more. For example, recently all of our editors did a roundtable of their top Seiko watch picks and reasons why they picked those watches. Another recent article is from Danny Milton. He gives thoughts after 1 month of wearing the white Hamilton khaki field Murph. Mark Bernardo highlights 7 times Patek Philippe surprised the watch world looking back through their history. And in addition to all of this is news articles around what is being released around the industry every single week. If stuff like this sounds interesting to you, be sure to subscribe to our newsletter and check out the website for daily written content completely separate from what I'm doing here on YouTube. Whether we're talking about German watchmaking or on a global scale, Nomos has one of the most impressive rises of any brand in recent memory. The company was founded just after the fall of the Berlin Wall, and in the 3 decades since, it's become one of the most popular independent brands in the world with in-house capabilities that are frankly unbelievable for the price. As an example, for starting prices around $1,500, you can get into their Club series, which is Nomos' sport everyday timepiece with 100 meters of water resistance, a playful array of colors, and runs on the Alpha manual movement. The Alpha Manual was the first in-house caliber produced by the brand, which was a byproduct of necessity since the former purchasing of ETA calibers was going to be shut off by the Swiss manufacturing behemoth. With nowhere else to turn, Nomos now produces a dozen calibers in-house and even make their own escapement known as the swing system. Other highlights of the collection include the minimalist vibes of the Tangente, the Orion, and Ludwigs, as well as the sportier references like the Ahoy and Club series as mentioned. Nomos even dips its toe into the high horology tier with models like the Lambda with its exquisite hand finishing, but the bulk of the lineup clocks in at prices under $5,000. Another well-regarded name based in the tiny town of Glashütte is Mühle Glashütte, which has roots dating back to the 19th century, being family-owned and operated to this day with Thilo Mühle, who operates as CEO, representing the family's 5th generation of operation. Despite the long company history, Mühle Glashütte didn't actually release a wristwatch until 1996, building an esteemed reputation in the world of gauges for cars and motorcycles, marine chronometers, and cockpit instruments. The first request for a wristwatch came from one of MG's shipyard clients, who asked for a piece that could be worn aboard ships, and in doing so, unearthed a newfound area of excellence to pursue. The brand's most popular piece is the SAR Rescue Timer. Originally produced for the German Maritime Search and Rescue Service, which packages a whopping 1,000 meters of water resistance into a case that features hooded lugs and a rubber bezel, and is topped off with a 4mm sapphire crystal so thick that it houses the Cyclops on the underneath side of the glass as opposed to placing it on top. And yes, the brand does produce more conventional looking timepieces around $1,000, such as the Panova serving as the all-arounder pick right at that entry point, and the TerraSport Flieger style watches offering classic looks with 100 meters of water resistance. What is also remarkable about the brand is that they are machining many of the bridges and small components in-house to reach the Glashütte standard, which leads to them having to disassemble a Bosch calibers and then reassemble them, and then will eventually include the brand's patented woodpecker neck regulator. This is their own take on the swan neck regulator, which is going to help in final adjustments and is going to aid against excessive shocks. Another brand that we have looked at before, Junghans Glashütte, who has roots dating back to 1893, being more recently revived and now residing as part of the Swatch Group. While being able to leverage the Swatch Group's movement technology, the brand will produce many small movement components, all while assembling and regulating in-house. Standouts in the Junghans Glashütte catalog include the elegant 1893 line, which showcased many stylistic elements of German watchmaking. Their Johannes Durstein moonphase is an excellent example, exhibiting a high-gloss, white multi-layered dial, heat-blued hands, a pointer date, and a beautifully decorated manual movement through the exhibition caseback, priced around $3,500. Another highlight is the 40mm all-arounder, the Noramis Date, which features an automatic movement with 60 hours of power reserve, 100 meters of water resistance, and is available in richly colored dial variants that sit closer to $2,000. And if your taste is a bit more adventurous, the retro-styled Averine boasts a TV-shaped case that recalls the look of the 1970s. Available in both a 2-register chronograph and a unique moon phase chrono with unconventional hands that work in tandem with the date scales to create a unique presentation. Another Glashütte brand, one that's known for value, is Bruno Söhnle Glashütte. Established by the brand's namesake founder in 2000, he set forth in creating watches under his name after many years in the watch business. The business is actually still in the family, with his daughter Stephanie taking over as CEO in 2009. While they do offer watches in several styles, most of the pieces from them follow familiar design principles of round case profiles that feature slim bezels, long, thin lugs, and minimalist dials. A good portion of their catalog uses quartz movements, making for starting prices that are the lowest of basically any brand on this list, beginning at $400. One example is the Rondo, available in several case sizes, dial variants, and quartz or Sellita-based automatic movements, as well as versions that offer regulator dial layouts. Further are the Hamburgs, which evoke classical elements, as well as a power reserve version that showcases the remaining power in the watch. As mentioned, prices start well below $1,000 and will top out just above $3,000. Our final brand from Glashütte in this video is Tutima, a company founded in 1927 and one that's still owned by the same family since its founding. Like many German watchmakers, they were known for their pilots and utilitarian watches. but instead of Fliegers associated with other brands from Germany, Tutima was more recognized for their dual pusher chronographs. Today, the contemporary Tutima catalog is highly diverse, with their modernist integrated Saxon 1 line showcasing both three-handers and chronographs. Other ranges include the robust M2 with both aviation and aquatic capabilities, and the more traditional Flieger and Grand Flieger pilots models. Prices from this brand range from around $1,500 at the very entry door, climbing up to over $40,000 for certain precious metal Patria models, with those Patrias showcasing a higher level of horological capability than many of the brands on the list here today. Damasko is another independent brand making high-spec, rugged tool watches that have a focus on hard-wearing materials and no-nonsense visual language. Founded in 1994, Konrad Damasko was a materials engineer in the aerospace industry, who then found a niche within the watch world as a supplier of hardened steel cases for the Sinn brand until the year 2002. Damasko watches today are known for their instrument-like dials, bead-blasted submarine steel cases, which leads to watches that are at minimum 4 times more scratch-resistant than untreated stainless steel. Damasko has also begun dabbling with creating their own in-house calibers to avoid the over-reliance on ETA, although they still utilize many ETA and Valjoux movements in their lineup. Highlights of the range include the DK37, the D Subdivers, the DC Chronograph series, and the popular DS30, which presents a viable alternative to the Sinn 556. Prices start around that $1,000 mark and top out under $5,000 for their higher grade chronographs. In terms of specs to dollars, it's tough to beat what's on offer from the Circula brand. Founded in 1955, the company is now owned by the 3rd generation of the Huber family. The brand appeals to collectors of tool watches that offer outstanding value, and nowhere is that more apparent than with their take on a field watch with their Circula Pro Trail. The tough angular case is built from sandblasted stainless steel that has been hardened to 1200 Vickers. Inside, you'll find a Labore grade Sellita SW200 wrapped in the anti-magnetic protection of a soft iron inner cage, which offers resistance to 80,000 amperes per meter. The feature set rounds out with a 12 24-hour dial, superluminova, and 150 meters of water resistance, all starting at under $1,000. Other highlights from Circula include the Supersport, a 300-meter dive watch with a genuine compressor caseback, again retailing for around $1,000, and then the Aquasport GMT, a 200-meter water resistance travel watch sporting a Sellita top-grade SW330-2. Laco produces some of the best-known Flieger-style watches in the industry, with roots in the city of Pforzheim that trace back to 1925, with one of the most established history of producing the now iconic Flieger design. The brand offers a large range of size and dial variants in the style, ranging from quartz pieces that start just over $300, Miyota-powered automatic Type A and Type B models at around $400, and then the broad range of Swiss-powered versions with several case diameters and materials and movement options that begin around $1,000. Laco offers another watch known as their Pro that allows collectors to custom order their dial, movement, and case finish. And if your taste is more modern than retro, Laco boasts a range of contemporary pilot's watches, including the Hamburg Dean 8330, the Frankfurt GMT, dive-ready models like the Scorpion and Squad series, and even a minimalist line called the Classic, which exhibits a strong Bauhaus influence. Now, another one of my personal favorites on this list, we have Junghans. The Junghans name has been around since the year 1861 and was first established as one of the most prolific clockmakers in Germany. In fact, at the turn of the 20th century, the factory produced over 3 million clocks annually, making it the world's largest clock manufacturer at the time. The company's production of wristwatches began to scale in the 1930s, and towards the end of the 1940s, they began manufacturing their pilot's chronograph, the predecessor for the modern pilot chronoscope. But it's their collaboration with Swiss designer Max Bill from the 1950s and 1960s that garners the most respect from watch collectors. Max Bill, a student of the legendary Bauhaus School of Design, which only existed for a mere 14 years before shuttering, has been an institution that has become one of the most impactful sources of influence for 20th and 21st century design. Max Bill originally designed a kitchen clock for Junghans in 1956, which eventually led to the creation of the Max Bill wristwatch shortly thereafter in the 1960s. Although the Max Bill is the brand's icon, Junghans is far from a one-trick pony. Models such as the Form and Meister are emblematic creations for the brand's brilliant design. In addition, Junghans was responsible for the first radio-controlled wristwatch in 1990, known as the Mega 1. Junghans was so innovative in the field of radio-controlled timekeeping that Japanese powerhouse Seiko reached out to collaborate on a project for a piece with radio-controlled time zone functionality. And for the final brand on our list, we have Stowa, a company that dates back to 1927 when it was founded by Walter Storz. After almost 70 years of family ownership, watchmaker Georg Schauer purchased Stowa in 1996 from Werner Storz, who led the company since his father's death in 1974. Then in 2021, Stowa became part of the Tempest Art Company, and today the brand produces a total of 6 different collections, including the Pilot, Marine, Classic, Chronograph, Sports, and Bauhaus lines, with its most popular remaining the Flieger-style watches deep-rooted to their early history. Another yet less talked about point of Stowa's past was the introduction of their minimalist Bauhaus-style watches in 1937, a style that continues to this day in their Antia line. Their clean aesthetic continues to the tradition of the renowned German art school and starts at less than $1,000, making for an attractive proposal when delivering authentic history in the process. The contemporary Pilot range starts with the Sleeta-powered models for under $1,000 and can be ordered with bronze cases and traditional hand-wound unitas movements that feature decorative finishes and a distinctive swan neck regulator. Prices begin at under $1,000 for those classic Marine lines and then can climb up to almost $9,000 for a limited solid gold version of their Flieger style. But all right, guys, that is our list here today, looking at some attainable German watch brands to know in the industry. As mentioned, I think this is an amazing sweet spot of value, this $1,000 to $3,000-$4,000 range out of Germany. There's just so much to get lost in, and it's a great middle ground of finding phenomenal products that are not going to showcase the same diminishing returns as you start to spend more and more and more money. You're getting proprietary materials and in-house capabilities, and you also have a vast selection of watches to choose from, with each one of these brands having a different approach compared to the other. There is some overlap, obviously. There's the German design that's coming across some of these watches, but you are seeing this identity expressed in different ways. If you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, hit the bell icon. Really do appreciate that. Also check out teddybaldestar.com, full authorized dealer of over 30 brands. Each purchase from teddybaldestar.com comes with a full factory warranty, quick and fast fulfillment, dedicated customer support. And also if you have any questions about watches on our website, reach out to one of my team members on live chat. We're on live chat basically 18 hours a day, so reach out to us if you have any questions. And also all this supports the content and what we're trying to produce here. We love what we do, so we do appreciate the support. But guys, thank you again so much for watching. Be well, and I will see you all very soon.